That is the only logical conclusion to all the gyrations in politics inside the administrations. And BP is definitely not an option for her. I said in May 2 that 100% she's running. I can truly say that if it were May, she would have filed for president immediately, except that there were maraming dinaanan. Malakas ang possibility sa lakas.
That was Albay Representative Joey Salceda, an advisor to Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte. He claims there is no other way to go but the presidency for the presidential daughter. As per Salceda, it's likely that Mayor Duterte will run under the Lakas banner.
But the camp of presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos is not closing their door on a possible team-up with Sara. They just don't see Marcos Jr. stepping down to the vice president role. Good evening, I'm Gretchen Hall.
I'm Robbie Alampay. You're watching The Big Story. The speculation game is still on as to what presidential daughter Sara Duterte is cooking for 2022 after she withdrew her candidacy as Davao City Mayor.
But Sara's confidant, Albay Congressman Joey Salceda, believes that the obvious answer is she'll follow her father's footsteps, but this time under the Lakas party. Marian Enriquez has The Big Story.
Sara Duterte's election plans are still up in the air a day after she backed out of the mayoral race in Davao. But for Albay Representative Joey Salceda, Sara's eyes are set on the presidency and nothing else.
That is the only logical conclusion. BP is definitely not an option for her.
However, Salceda noted initial roadblocks over the plan. Salceda told 1PH that among those issues is her desire to choose her own running mate. But if Sara will indeed run for president, she needs to substitute under a national party.
Malakas ang possibility sa lakas. Sabi ko, uy, bitin na ang NUP, NPC, PDP. Tapos, sagot niya sa akin, ayaw niya may gulo pa kasi sa COMELEC ang PDP. Kaya obviously hindi siya doon tatakbo.
Attorney Bruce Rivera, another close friend of Sara, said former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo may have been involved. Arroyo is the President Emeritus of Lakas CMD and a known mentor and ally of Mayor Inday. The party has since admitted to fielding placeholder candidates.
What I heard was that I think it's GMA who is brokering that notion that it's going to be under Lakas CMD. And, everything is just speculative at this point.
But there are also rumors that a Marcos Duterte tandem is now in the works.
She intimated to us that she's considering it.
Bongbong's camp refused to comment any further and said they will just wait for Sara's decision. But Marcos Party Partido Federal ng Pilipinas is open to teaming up with Sara. They are, however, averse to any speculation that Bongbong would slide down.
At siya naman ang tinatawag nating most qualified, learned, and lahat ng kanyang plataforma ay tama. At doon kami nakatuon, Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas.
The Cusi-led wing of PDP Laban meanwhile said they are closely watching the developments. The faction said Sara's decision will certainly affect the political landscape. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
And how are the presidential aspirants reacting to Mayor Sara Duterte's latest moves? For Vice President Leni Robredo, she and her team says they are unfazed by the presidential daughter's decision. Robredo says that this may actually work in their favor as it could give clarity on who the candidates are fighting for and who are working with one another. Meanwhile, the camp of former Senator Bongbong Marcos says that any comment regarding Mayor Sara would be inappropriate. They add that they will wait and see what Duterte Carpio's next move will be. And as for Manila Mayor Isko Moreno, he says he'd rather not pay attention to what Sara's decision is. Senator Panfilo Lacson, meanwhile, gave no comment on the matter.
These are the other big stories tonight. A different narrative is floating over the involvement of Davao City Information Officer Jefrey Tupas in a recent drug sting. Some claim that he was allowed to flee the scene. Who knew we would get to this after 2 years? Cinemas are now officially open. It's definitely a new viewing experience compared to before, but that did not stop some moviegoers from flocking to the malls. And TikTok might just have been a lifesaver. A teenager in the US put to use a video she saw on the platform to call for help against a predator. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Ho. Different accounts now surface over the involvement of Davao City Executive Jefrey Tupas in a drug sting during a beach party over the weekend.
Some of those who were arrested claim that Tupas was allowed to flee the scene on account of her links to Mayor Sara Duterte. Jenny Dongon with the story.
This was not how a beach party was supposed to end, in detention. This group was arrested after a PDEA drug sting at a beach party in Mabini, Davao last weekend. They are now detained at the NBI office in Davao. Authorities recovered illegal party drugs and marijuana valued at around 1.5 million pesos. One of the arrested individuals is birthday celebrant Rivsan Elizalde.
Ating operation is a planned operation. It's a buy-bust operation. It's not an inflagrante delicto operation wherein by chance lang. So nakita natin if it's a planned operation, meron na talaga tayong subjects of the operation. Meron tayong minamanmana na drug personalities. So during that time, ang ating main subject ay nandyan as well as yung other personalities.
But the most striking aspect of the sting was the presence of Jefrey Tupas, the information officer of Sara Duterte. Tupas confirmed his attendance, saying that he was invited and immediately left after dinner. But other attendees are telling a different narrative.
Ayon sa PDEA, siya, sir, relax lang mo siya, kay visitor lang mo, sir. Ang gipanawag mo to ang main targets. Mo, gibilid mo sa field, sila, gilahi sila.
Yung wala nag-expect nga, gipatakas na dahil sila.
Oh, tapos ma'am, ang kato mga nakuha na na-confiscate ila Jeffrey Tupas ng mga kuan, gibutang sa mga front, gi-inventory. Dool ko kay Jeffrey Tupas pagdako pa, ingon siya, sir, stop ko ni Inday Sara.
PDEA denied these accusations.
Those are speculations. Hindi ko rin maintindihan kung sa anong listahan po yun ang binabanggit. Kami naman po, wala naman pong ganyan na nangyari because our subject, as mentioned earlier, ang ating subject of the operation were those that was arrested.
Davao City Mayor Duterte confirmed Tupas' involvement in a drug raid. Duterte said they've already fired Tupas, who tendered his resignation at the same time.
With just a few days left for the deadline of substitution for next year's elections, the COMELEC admits the said rule could use some regulation in the future to prevent abuse. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro gives us a front seat to the story.
Sara Duterte only has 4 days left to join a national political party and file for substitution of candidacy. That's if she's really gunning for a national position in the 2022 elections. The Commission on Elections laid clear the rules for substitution on Wednesday, emphasizing that substitutes have to be party mates in a national political party. Currently, Sara belongs to Hugpong ng Pagbabago, a regional party she founded.
If she is going to substitute, then she will have to join a political party that already has a candidate for whatever position she wants to substitute.
Of the 97 people who filed their COC for president, 81 are independents and cannot be substituted. 16, however, belong to national political parties. Of these 16, 2 political parties have admitted that they put in placeholders for a possible Sara Duterte run. These are Bato de la Rosa of PDP Laban and Ana Velasco of the Lakas CMD. The poll body says, however, that there might be a need to regulate the substitution rule in future elections so as to prevent abuse.
Maybe there is room for some legislative action to make sure that this cannot be used on a whim. But unfortunately, it would seem that it is now possible to do this whimsically. And maybe there is time or maybe there is an opportunity to regulate the exercise of this right.
Meantime, the petition to cancel the candidacy of presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos has been raffled to the 2nd Division of COMELEC, and the summons for a response will be handed out either Wednesday or Thursday.
On cancellation, it's as if no COC was filed, therefore no right of substitution attaches.
So far, 91 petitions for cancellation of COC have been filed against multiple candidates for national position, but none have been decided on yet. Mobile journalist Jacob Lazaro, we are One News.
With Mayor Sara's next step still a guessing game, let's find out how this could affect the game plan of the ruling party PDP Laban. We have on the line PDP Laban Membership Committee Energy Undersecretary Astravel Pimentel Naik.
Hello, Robbie. Good evening.
Hello, good evening po. With the announcement of Sara Duterte, do you necessarily know what her game plan is?
Actually, hindi po, no? Kasi siyempre si Sara ay nasa Davao naman yan. And as you know, na hindi naman siya miyembro ng PDP Laban as of now. But she was a former member of PDP Laban because the first time she ran for mayor in Davao City, she ran under PDP Laban.
But how about the plans and the status of PDP Laban itself? We're still waiting for the COMELEC to make a decision here. Is that possibly complicating things for her and for PDP Laban?
Ang komplikasyon naman, Robbie, laging present yan sa buhay, mas lalong-lalo na sa politika, no? At anything is possible under the sun. And eto nga yung sinasabi nyo na kung ano ba yung magiging plano ni Inday Sara, only she knows what are her plans, no? Because as far as PDP Laban is concerned, we are watching kung ano man yung magiging decision niya because there's going to be a lot of changes in the political arena with her decision, but whatever that might be.
Well, Lakas CMD is also claiming that they are an option. They're saying that they're the logical vehicle for any national post run by Sara Duterte. But just in case Sara Duterte does run under any other party, tuloy po ba ang mga kandidato nyo?
Ganito kasi yan, Robbie. As far as PDP Laban is concerned, any decision that we make, kung sino yung i-field namin ng mga candidates, dumadaan po yan sa proseso. We do executive committee meeting, we do national council meeting, we do national assembly. In fact, we have opened it to the public, yung conduct ng aming national council and national assembly meetings. And yun na nga, kung ano man yung mga napagdesisyonan namin, even the resolutions that we have adopted, we have shared it to the media. So kung sakasakali man na magkaroon ng possibility na tatakbo si Sara under PDP Laban, that will still have to be taken up by our different bodies in the party for the decision of the party. It's not one person who decides in the party. Kasi kami po sa PDP Laban, we observe party politics, Robbie. Hindi po tayo nakabase sa personalidad. And in fact, even si President Duterte himself, when he ran, he subjected himself to the process of the party, which started even in 2014. Gayon din si Senator Bongo, nung kanyang pagtakbo bilang Vice President. Lahat ng ito, idinaan namin sa proseso. So, yung sinasabi mo that there are other parties available for Sara, that's an option that she can take, and she's the one who has to decide which party she will join if ever she runs. Kasi maraming posibilidad, Robbie, pwede rin naman maging possibility na hindi siya tumakbo, di ba? Kasi siya lang ang nakakaalam kung talaga bang tatakbo siya in a higher position or she will remain as a private individual o pwedeng namang whatever. Anything is possible.
Okay, maraming salamat po. As Travel Pimentel Naik, she is in the membership committee of PDP Laban.
President Rodrigo Duterte says it's legal for employers to reject applicants who haven't been vaxxed against COVID-19. In his talk to the people, Duterte said it's a means of protecting the business and the employees themselves, though he noted that employers cannot fire incumbent workers who refuse to get inoculated.
You have the right to refuse to accept as an employee of somebody who is not vaccinated. This guy would start to contaminate everybody.
About 3.5 employees or beneficiaries of the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program meanwhile remain unvaxxed. That's according to the Social Welfare Department. The DSWD cited vaccine hesitancy and the late vax rollout among the indigent group or A5. It also proposed incentivizing them instead of imposing a no vaccine, no ayuda scheme.
Hindi po natin po pwedeng itali ang pagpababakuna sa pagbibigay po ng ayuda sa ating mga benepisyaryo.
Police Lieutenant General Jonardo Carlos, currently 4th in command, is the next chief of the 22,000-strong Philippine National Police. He will replace outgoing Chief Guillermo Elizar, who will retire by Friday. Carlos is currently Chief of Directorial Staff under Elizar. He is also an alumnus of the Philippine Military Academy, Maringal Class of 1988. Other key positions he has held are PNP spokesman, PIO chief, and director of the Integrated Police Operations in Visayas. He will be the 27th PNP chief, the 7th chief under the Duterte administration.
Friday the 13th, but make it kilig. Korean heartthrob Park Seo-joon will swoon over his Pinoy fans. The newest member of the Marvel Cinematic Universe will enter the Smart Hallyu Hangouts. He was last year's Smart Giga K video data promo endorser. Catch him on November 13 at the Giga Play app at 4 p.m. Meanwhile, another Korean dreamboat made history. Jungkook of BTS has just been the most streamed Korean male soloist on Spotify. That's for his solo song, Euphoria. He overtakes Psy's Gangnam Style with over 292 million streams. Euphoria is currently the most streamed Korean B-side and the most streamed BTS solo song on the platform. And are you ready? ready for another season of Squid Game. Series creator Wang Dong-yuk just hinted at a possible season 2 during the hit series LA screening.
Season 2, I almost feel like you leave us no choice, but I will say there will indeed be a second season. It's in my head right now. Kyun will come back. He'll do something for the world.
A Netflix representative told CNBC, however, that the sequel is in discussion but not yet confirmed. For News 5, MJ Marfori, we are One News.
Time for another quick break. When we return, no popcorn, no problem. It might be a different viewing experience, but moviegoers still lined up on day one of the reopening of cinemas in Metro Manila. But if you're not big on movies, then how about watching a basketball game live? Yes, the PBA is now setting its sights on welcoming fans on site once again. And who knew TikTok could potentially be a lifesaver? It sure did for one teenager in the United States who used a hand signal she learned from the platform to save her from a predator. These big stories after the break.
Good evening. You're still watching The Big Story. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Hall. It's back to the big screen for moviegoers as today marks the return of cinemas in Metro Manila.
So how did the cinemas fare on its first day back? Let's get the latest from Marty Bautista. She's reporting from Taguig City. Marty, kamusta dyan?
Yes, Robbie, Gretchen, for over 20 months already, cinemas here in Metro Manila are coming back to life once again. While there are still a few jitters coming from moviegoers about sharing an enclosed space, the excitement is still palpable. Moviegoers lined up early in the morning to secure their seats in this movie theater in Quezon City. This was also the case in the cinema in San Juan. For them, abiding by the strict protocols is fine as long as they get to watch their favorite movies on the big screen.
Yung audio, yung big screen, yun ang habol ko kaya ako nandito. I'm confident kasi fully vaccinated naman ako.
Yung pagpapanood ko ng sine dito talaga, yun ang paborito ko, number 1 ko yan na manood na sine dito.
Mall management has assured that there will be regular disinfection in the cinemas.
Ventilation, we provided an air damper. No? It produces fresh air coming from the outside para magkaroon ng circulation of air. And then we filter then.
The return of cinemas is also a big help for those who lost their jobs.
Sana maging sumunod na lang po tayo sa safety health protocol to then sana maging okay na lahat, walang problema at para tuloy-tuloy na po yung mga trabaho sa mga cinema, lalo na sa amin na apektuhan din po talaga through pandemic.
MMDA Chairman Benhur Abalos and Charmaine Bauzon, head of Ayala Cinemas, likewise paid a visit to one of the cinemas in Taguig. According to Bauzon, Ayala Cinemas are taking it slowly but surely, keeping only 2 cinema booths open for now.
Part po nung process, hindi tayo nag-full blast. So, across the Ayala Cinemas, limited screenings po muna tayo. Initially, 2 screens Yung iba nagdagdag maybe 3 hanggang 4, even the screenings. But as the demand increases, then pwede po natin dagdagan.
Abalos, meanwhile, reiterated that cinemas are only allowed for fully vaccinated individuals.
Only fully vaccinated adults, no?
Apart from Metro Manila, cinemas also reopened in Bohol, Iloilo, Laguna, Rizal, Tagaytay, and Tarlac. Ticket prices remain unchanged from pre-pandemic rates.
Well, Robbie, right as of this moment, I've had the chance to check the Gateway Cineplex here, and now I'm over here at the Central Square Cinema here at BGC. At the moment, only 2 movies are being premiered, and that's A Quiet Place 2, and of course, the blockbuster hit, Dune. Now, Robbie, Gretchen, if you don't have any more questions for me, I hope you don't mind, but I've got a movie to catch.
Enjoy the movies. Marty Bautista, maraming salamat. In world news, Europe currently faces a serious threat of COVID resurgence. Germany has recorded its highest COVID-19 incidence rate since the start of the pandemic. Seven-day incidence rate has risen to 201.1. Hospitals in Germany had to relocate patients to other health facilities due to a recent surge in infections. Denmark's government, meanwhile, is proposing to reintroduce a digital Corona Pass as the country faces a 3rd wave of COVID infections. The Corona Pass would verify if the holder is vaccinated or has tested negative for the virus before entering bars and restaurants. Denmark's daily COVID-19 infection rate is now averaging 2,300 from just more than 200 in September.
Now for the big story in sports, the PBA is hoping that it could finally have fans back in attendance for its second conference this November. PBA Commissioner Willie Marshall said he will meet with the IATF in the coming days to discuss the upcoming Governor's Cup and the possibility of welcoming the fans back in the venue for the first time in 2 years. The next conference is tentatively set for a November 28 tip-off, while the inaugural 3x3 tournament rolls off on November 20 at Inares Sports Arena in Pasig City.
In Kentucky, a missing 16-year-old girl was rescued after she used a hand gesture she learned from TikTok. The girl was in a vehicle with an old man. When she held out her palm outwards, she then closed her fingers around the tucked thumb. A motorist recognized the distress signal and immediately called 911. The police arrived shortly afterward, rescued the girl. The 61-year-old predator, meanwhile, was arrested and charged. Here's a video from the Canadian Women's Foundation demonstrating, again, let's watch this, demonstrating the hand gesture.
Oh, can you share that banana bread recipe?
Oh, sure. It's actually my mom's banana bread recipe, but it's pretty foolproof and it's super easy.
Well, I appreciate it. I know your mom is a great baker.
Oh, ganun pala
Wow,
yun, ano?
I did not know that.
Oh, we learned something new today.
Oh, I mean, you never know if that could save somebody's life.
That's why you should spend more time on TikTok.
No.
We'll get there. But if you have nothing left to say, I have a movie to catch on my mobile phone.
Oh, sana all. Buti ka pa. Di, sige, mauna ka. Mauna kayo. Mauna kayo.
That wraps up today's big story. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 p.m. on Signal Channels 8 and 250.
Please like our Facebook page, One News. For more in-depth analysis, visit our webpage, onenews.ph. Mask on.
Wash hands.
And stay safe, Philippines. I'm Robbie Alampay.
And I'm Gretchen Hall. We are One News. Have a good evening.